Tēnā koutou whānau, Jared here from Momentous Services Limited. Just back with the finish off of that tutorial. Now, obviously I didn't reconcile that last transaction, but it does reconcile, as you would have found out. However, there's probably some among you saying, hey look Jared, that's fantastic, but it's not populating now back to our software as far as POS is concerned. This may be because of the link that you have between the two. It's either limited or doesn't exist by means of it only being a one-way link. So there's a couple of things you can do pertaining to that. So obviously that this has been reconciled against their account from this end, but it's not helpful in the sense of if you've got a POS system if it hasn't reflected that back to those on the counter serving. So in order to sort of rectify that scenario, obviously you can see this overpayment option, which is another option given here. So this one is more sort of a manual option that can apply, and of course direct payment, which was already there before. So as you can see with prepayment and overpayment, prepayment gives you an invoice number, overpayment does not. So with this invoice that it's creating here, we need to somewhat generate that on the POS system. Now this can be difficult from the degree of sometimes this minus sum isn't allowed on your POS system, or it's limited. If it is limited, that's fantastic, meaning that if you have admin rights, you can of course put in a minus sale and basically just create this invoice on the POS and then select it here through the matching system. So that will work perfectly fine for you. You might also be able to minus it out, put a -1 quantity there, which will also give you a negative balance invoice, which then you can of course match to by using this prepayment option. Now the other one that's here is overpayment. So again, this doesn't necessarily help you from the degree of it being pushed through to it as a payment through to the POS system, and direct payment of course we're in the same scenario. So what we can do, however, there's a couple of options. Now I'm going to use Xero again like it is a POS system, point of sale system. So we're going to go into invoices. I'm just going to click here because this is already set up from last time. And then of course you can see this prepayment, but however when it comes up as zero sum, it comes up as prepaid. So there's two things you can do, right? You can either go, I want to edit this, sorry, edit, and if it won't allow you to of course do your minus sum here, which if we go, even if we go to prepay, that's correct, and we go update, right, cannot be less than 0, right? And so your POS system may say exactly the same thing. Sometimes that can be overridden. However, if it can't, that would be the easiest way to get one account POS system that allows a minus sale, and then of course you can just allocate this number and match it, easy as. However, if it doesn't allow you, even if you do have admin rights, and then of course, with zero sum, it's not going to what just simply doesn't show as a viable match for the transaction. So it needs at least some amount. So I'll go through this one method to kind of highlight what can happen even if you just point 0.01, and then we'll just go update. Okay, and then next we want to go over to bank accounts and reconcile, and then we're going to go down and we're going to find that transaction yet again. Here it is, and we want to go match. Now, let's put in John there. And there it is there. So now, because it's got a balance here of being received, it's of course going to show up. So we can click here. Oh, yeah, we can click here, but and then it'll take us to that sale itself. However, that's not quite what we want to do. So we'll go back to this and we'll select it. And then of course there's the adjustment, right? And then of course the total is out. So as you can see here, we'll allow it to be allocated by those means. So what I've found typically is, and we're going to go back into this, it's going to want to split it, etc., but let's just load this up. Never want too many tabs open, but let's just adjust this for the moment. And let's go we want to edit. And we're going to put in now the same amount that's received and put it in as prepayment. So now we update. Okay, so that's all been done there. And you can see the new figure. I'm going to close that tab now. And then we're just going to repopulate this by refreshing. We're going to scroll down. And we're going to find that transaction. And of course, it's automatically going to match, which is easy days, right? So you're thinking, oh, well, that's great, but there's no credit sitting on the account now. How do we deal with that, right? So, if you like, you can, follow this step first and, of course, reconcile that. Yep, we'll just go confirm. And then next, we want to go back into our customer John Mayer. And we're going to check if that has been successfully allocated. Yes, fantastic. Now, of course, you'll be familiar with this, where you can put in sales credit note. So credit note obviously has a different number. Now you're thinking, oh, well, what's going on? But you'll soon see the process here. So we're going to put prepayment here. I'm going to put 1 in here. 15. Fantastic. And we're going to go no tax, of course, so everything matches up. And that's all looking fine. Tax rate, account, we want prepayment. Fantastic. No GST, great. And we're going to approve that. Now, if we go into this account, you see we've got a credit note sitting against it, awaiting payment, right? This one's coming up as paid. So if you have a look at this equation, you'll somewhat see that these two are now reconciled. So let's just put this into practice. Credit notes come in. You're thinking, oh, well, that's it's interesting accounting, but this is kind of actually how it works. You're thinking you're doubling up, but you're not actually. You're reconciling by means of the POS system. So let's just see if we can create a new invoice to see if we can allocate that. And you can see down here, 15,000 credit available. So everything's balancing at this point. Let's just make sure that we can, of course, approve. Oh, yep, due date. Let's make that to date. Right, and then we apply the credit. Okay, And so credit to apply, we've got to of course put that in. It's not a very obvious box, but it is there. Alright, so that's all been duly noted and accounted for. So we'll go back into this, just making sure everything's fine. That's all been allocated perfectly fine. Let's just go into the dashboard, make sure that reconciliation has come through, and we want to go into bank accounts, business bank, and we're going to see if that prepayment has reconciled, which it has. So we're all sweet from that regard now. So that is a means that definitely works by means of, let's say, creating the invoice first, allocating the reconciliation to it through, let's say, the back-end Xero. So you POS system first for the payment amount that they're making, allocate that via the prepayment, I'll say, account SKU code, and so that automatically matches when it's pushed through to Xero. And then all you have to do, you can even create a SKU called prepayment that'll automatically allocate it to that account, and then as admin, it's probably best to do that process. Just jump on the POS, however you access that, put that through, then of course come back through onto Xero, reconcile, and then of course put through the credit note, and everything counts perfectly fine, because they've overpaid, ultimately, and it's a prepayment, so there's only certain things that the system will allow you to do. However, this allows prepayment. Just make sure you finish the whole process effectively. There's 3 elements to it: creation of prepayment invoice, secondly allocation via means of reconciliation, and then thirdly credit note issue through the POS system again. So those are the steps. I hope that's been helpful to you on how to create a credit or a prepaid account on an account of someone who's overpaid or is prepaying for something. So I thank you for your time. Tēnā koutou. Kia ora.